After my tutorial video on how to use Melia in Xenoblade, many of you asked me to do a similar video for Riki. In my last video, I stated that one of the best things about Xenoblade's combat is that every character can be built in various ways to fit your own personal playstyle, and no other character better encompasses this than Riki. While other party members fall into a sort of typical RPG role like Ryan being a tank or Melia being a black mage, Riki is a jack of all trades and can be pretty much any role you want him to be. Because of this, the tips I'll be covering in this video will show how I found Riki to be the most useful, and while I'll give you general ideas on how else he can be used, I strongly urge you to experiment on your own as well and see what works best for you. So, like I said before, Riki can fill pretty much any role you need, and the role I actually use him for is a red mage of sorts, a healer that can also pump out dot effects. If you're not familiar with the term dot, it refers to status ailments that cause damage over time. Think of poison that chips away at the enemy's HP in any RPG like Pokemon. Riki has 4 dot skills and they are all great because they stack. Allergy inflicts poison, Freezinate inflicts chill, Bitey Body inflicts bleed, and Burninate inflicts blaze. Whereas Melia takes careful micromanaging to make sure you're using the right skills at the right time, Riki admittedly is a bit more mindless and easier to use as a result. Just keep on throwing out status elements when they're off cooldown, and honestly he's good to go offensive wise. The best of these abilities is hands down Freezinate. The cooldown, especially at later levels, is so fast, and the chill status it inflicts lasts so long that you can technically keep the enemy suffering chill damage indefinitely. By the time you're done rotating through your other status effect arts, Freezinate will likely be ready to go again. I'll get back to how well Riki can deal damage in a bit, but first I'd like to touch on just how Riki functions as a healer. Riki only has one true healing art, and believe it or not, it's good enough to make him your dedicated healer if you so desire. Riki's art, You Can Do It, can heal the entire party at once so long as Riki is facing them, and if the allies you're healing happen to have debuffs on them, they get even more HP back. In my experience, this one simple art is enough for Riki to carry the team for healing in most battles in the game. If you feel Riki isn't cutting it though, then having Charlotte in the party as well will of course help. You Can Do It and Riki's 4 dot arts make up the backbone of his arts for me. As soon as someone needs HP, I heal them, and then it's back to dishing out status ailments. But of course Riki has a slew of other arts, and some of them are just as useful. The first big one I need to talk about that complements the way I use Riki perfectly is the art Say Sorry. This art will get rid of every debuff on the enemy, but it deals the base damage times 100% for every single debuff on the enemy. So for every dot or any other status including break, topple, and daze that the enemy has on it, this art multiplies in power. It's easily Riki's biggest damage dealer for me, and is more than worth the trade-off of getting rid of all the debuffs I spend time setting up. Happy Happy fills the party gauge when Riki's tension is high. At just level 1 it fills it by 55%, but when maxed at level 10 the party gauge fills completely to 100%. If you're someone that likes spamming chain attacks or just like having the party gauge full when you need it, this art is a must have. Now let's cover Riki's 3 auras. While I won't say any of them are bad, in my opinion the hands down best one is Hero Time. It not only prevents tension loss for any allies close to Riki when activated, but it will randomly raise one of Riki's stats by a good percentage when activated. At max level the stat is raised by an absurd 156%. Since Riki is such a good all-around character stat-wise, you'll likely benefit greatly from this no matter what stat is chosen. It's my personal go-to aura on Riki, but let's cover the other 2 really quick in case they fit your playstyle better. Play Dead will remove all aggro from Riki, and he'll lay on the ground unable to move for 5 seconds. When he gets up, he'll recover as much HP as he would if he had been incapacitated and revived, along with his next art dealing 50% more damage. I personally don't find much use for this aura as it doesn't mesh well with my Riki being a healer, and even then its usefulness seems a bit too situational. The final aura is Riki is Angry. It reflects non-talent art damage off Riki back at the enemy, usually for 2 times the amount, sometimes 4 times the amount, and rarely 8 times the amount. Not a bad aura, but I personally wouldn't waste an Arsat on it unless I'm using Riki as a tank. Roly Poly has a 30% chance to force topple on an enemy, otherwise it'll inflict bind. Good move if you're someone that likes to go for topple and daze as much as possible. Finally, I want to touch on Riki's talent art, Yoink. It steals from the enemy and is useful for getting a specific drop you may need from them. With certain skills, Riki can also steal experience points or AP. Not as exciting as the talent arts of some other party members, but still very useful. Even if you don't adopt the way I use Riki, I hope this video gave some of you guys ideas on how you want to use him. There really is no wrong way to use Riki, and he's an asset to any party. For anyone else that uses Riki differently, leave your build in the comments below for other people to find and experiment with. And if anyone has any further questions, leave them in the comments so I'll be more than happy to answer them. Thank you guys for watching, I'll see you later. A big thank you to my patrons this month, Westtown HD, Nightmare Alpha, and Buttermilk Mike. Your help is always appreciated and it helps the channel stay alive. Thank you guys so much. And if you want to become a patron, look in the description below for the link to my Patreon. See ya.